Have you ever stopped to really look at your feet? I mean, really look at them, not just a glance while you're putting on socks or stepping out of the shower. Most of us ignore our feet until they hurt. But here is a surprising truth that might just change the way you think about your health forever. Your feet are often the first place your body shows signs of serious internal trouble, especially when it comes to your blood sugar. In fact, some of the earliest warnings of type 2 diabetes don't show up in your blood work first. They show up in your toes, your heels, and the soles of your feet. We're talking about subtle changes like dry skin that won't go away, a strange numbness, or even the shape of your toes. These signs are easy to dismiss, but catching them early could literally save your vision, your kidneys, or even your limbs. So before you click away, I want you to take off your socks and look down, because what I'm about to share with you could be the most important health check you do all year. Let's start with something that might sound too simple to be significant: dry skin. Not the kind of dry skin you get in the winter when the heater is running. I'm talking about persistent, scaly, or cracked skin on the bottom of your feet, especially around the heels. If you've been moisturizing and nothing seems to help, your nerves might be trying to tell you something. When blood sugar levels run high over time, they can start to damage the tiny nerves that control the oil and moisture glands in your feet. Think of it like this. Your nerves are the wires that tell your glands to produce moisture. When those wires get frayed by excess sugar, the signal gets lost, and your feet become a desert. This isn't just a cosmetic issue. Cracked heels can turn into open sores, and when you combine that with poor circulation, a small crack can become a nightmare infection before you even feel it. But here is where it gets really interesting and a little scary. Why wouldn't you feel an infection? Because the next sign is often a loss of sensation. And it doesn't start with complete numbness. It usually starts with a weird tingling, like your foot has fallen asleep, or a burning sensation, especially at night when you're trying to rest. Some people describe it as walking on pebbles or having pins and needles stuck in their soles. This is what doctors call peripheral neuropathy, and it's one of the most common early complications of blood sugar issues. The high glucose actually becomes toxic to your nerve fibers, damaging the protective coating around them. And here's the kicker. By the time you feel the tingling, the damage has likely been going on for months or even years. This is why looking at your feet is so crucial, because you might not feel the problem, but you can see it. So what else should you be looking for? Take a close look at the color of your feet. When you're sitting, they might look normal. But when you stand up, do they turn a bright red or a purplish color? Or maybe they look pale or bluish. These color changes are often a sign of poor circulation, another hallmark of unstable blood sugar. High glucose levels can make your blood sticky and thick, and it can start to line the walls of your small blood vessels, almost like rust lining a pipe. The feet are the farthest point from your heart, so they feel the effects of this first. If the blood isn't flowing well, wounds don't heal, and tissues don't get the oxygen they need. That slight discoloration isn't just a cosmetic quirk, it's a visual map of your vascular health. Now let's move from color to shape. Have you noticed any changes in the structure of your toes? Look at your second, third, and fourth toes. Are they starting to curl under, looking a bit like claws? This isn't arthritis from aging, necessarily. It can be a condition called hammer toe, and it's surprisingly common in people with undiagnosed blood sugar problems. Remember those damaged nerves we talked about? They control the muscles in your feet. When the nerves stop working correctly, the balance of muscles in your toes gets thrown off. The stronger muscles pull the toes into a bent, curled position. Once the toes start to curl, they create new pressure points inside your shoes. Those pressure points rub and create calluses. And those calluses, if you have high blood sugar, are not just thick skin. They can break down and form ulcers. It's a domino effect that starts with a simple nerve misfire. Speaking of calluses, pay attention to where they are forming. If you have a callus that keeps coming back in the exact same spot, no matter how much you file it down, that is a red flag. That spot is bearing too much pressure, usually because the fat pads in your feet are shifting or thinning out. High blood sugar can cause the connective tissue in your feet to become stiff, and it can cause the natural padding to waste away. That bony area under the ball of your foot suddenly has no cushion, so it rubs against the ground or your shoe, creating a thick callus. And underneath that callus, a blister can form. And because you might have some numbness, you don't feel the blister, you keep walking on it, and it turns into an open sore. This is how small problems become big emergencies. But let's look at something less obvious: the temperature of your feet. Do your feet feel cold to the touch, even when the rest of your body is warm? Or maybe one foot is cold and the other is normal. That's circulation. But sometimes people experience the opposite, a foot that feels burning hot to them but feels normal to someone else's touch. That is the nerves misfiring, sending pain signals even when there is no injury. This hot-cold confusion is a classic sign that the communication highway between your foot and your brain has some serious traffic jams caused by sugar. Now here's a test you can do right now. Look at the hair on your toes and the top of your feet. If you are a person who naturally had hair there, is it thinning or completely gone? Hair follicles, like sweat glands, need healthy nerves and good blood flow to survive. When circulation to the extremities is compromised by high blood sugar, the body decides it's not worth the energy to grow hair way out there on the ends of your body. It's a survival mechanism, redirecting resources to your vital organs. So if your feet are looking smoother and shinier than they used to, with less hair, don't just blame aging. Consider what might be happening inside your blood vessels. And while we're talking about looking, let's talk about swelling. If your feet or ankles are consistently puffy, leaving an indentation when you press on them with your thumb, that's edema. While this can be related to heart or kidney issues, it's also connected to diabetes. High blood sugar can damage the tiny filters in your kidneys, making them less effective at flushing out salt and fluid. That fluid has to go somewhere, and gravity pulls it straight down to your feet. So a puffy foot isn't just a tired foot, it might be a kidney that's working overtime. Another visual clue is the condition of your toenails. Are they thick, yellow, or brittle? Are they infected with fungus that just won't go away? While toenail fungus is common, it thrives in people with high blood sugar. The sugar that leaks out through your sweat feeds the fungus, and poor circulation makes it hard for your body's immune cells to get to the scene to fight it off. So, if you've tried every over-the-counter cream and the fungus keeps coming back stronger, the problem might not be your shoes. It might be your bloodstream. Now, I want you to think about cuts or scrapes. When was the last time you got a minor injury on your foot? How long did it take to heal? If a tiny scratch takes weeks to disappear, or if it leaves a dark scar behind, that's a massive warning sign. Healing requires a complex cascade of events, including inflammation, cell growth, and tissue remodeling. All of these steps require energy and healthy blood flow. High blood sugar disrupts this process at every level. It makes your red blood cells stiff, so they can't squeeze into tiny capillaries to deliver oxygen. It impairs the ability of your white blood cells to fight bacteria. So a paper cut on your foot becomes a chronic wound. If you notice that your feet are slow to heal, do not ignore it. And finally, let's talk about the one sign that most people miss because it feels like a victory: the disappearance of pain. If you have been dealing with foot pain for years, maybe from an old injury or bunions, and suddenly the pain goes away completely, you might think you're healed. But if the pain vanishes without any change in your shoes or activity, it could be that the nerves have died. The pain signal is no longer getting through because the nerve is too damaged to send it. It's the medical equivalent of a smoke detector running out of batteries. The fire might still be there, but the alarm is silent. So, why am I telling you all of this? To scare you? No, to empower you. Your feet are like the canaries in the coal mine for your metabolic health. They give you warnings months and years before a doctor might catch something in a routine blood test. If you are seeing any of these signs, if your feet are tingling, or your skin is cracking, or your toes are changing shape, do not panic, but do take action. The first step is simple. Make an appointment with your primary care doctor and ask for a hemoglobin A1C test, which gives you a 3-month average of your blood sugar. The second step is to start treating your feet like the precious, life-sustaining structures they are. Wash them daily with mild soap, dry them carefully, especially between the toes, and moisturize them. But don't put lotion between the toes because that moisture can breed fungus. Keep the toenails trimmed straight across to avoid ingrown nails, and always check inside your shoes before you put them on to make sure there's no pebble or torn lining that could rub a blister. And here is where you come in. I want to hear from you in the comments. Have you noticed any of these changes in your own feet? Or maybe you have a story about a time a small foot issue turned into a big lesson. Share it below. Your story might be the one that helps someone else in this community recognize a warning sign they were ignoring. Don't underestimate the power of sharing your experience. And if you found this video helpful, if you learned something new about your own body, please share it with someone you care about. Maybe a parent, a friend, or a coworker. Because the person who needs to see this might not be watching health videos right now, but they are definitely walking around on their feet. Take care of them. They have to carry you for the rest of your life. I'll see you in the next video.